incredible story that happened about 2 years ago and spread around the world in the matter of days, winning the hearts of millions of people. Audrey was an ordinary woman who loved her children very much. She raised 3 kids on her own, trying, like any mother, to make sure that they had everything they needed. So, she balanced 2 jobs at once and always bought the best things for her children. Audrey had big plans and dreams. Like most women, she imagined that many years later she would play with her grandchildren and enjoy spending time with her family, seeing their smiling faces and hearing the children laugh. Well, it might have worked out this way, but at the end of 2018, the woman woke up one morning not feeling well. Audrey decided to skip work and stay home for a few days, blaming everything on stress and fatigue. However, 3 days later, she didn't feel any better, and so she went to the hospital. The doctor said that she needed a thorough checkup and she would have to spend a few days in the hospital. Audrey had no one to leave her children with. When she knocked on her neighbor Tisha's door, asking her to take in her 3 kids for the night, the woman was quite surprised. They barely knew each other. However, being a mother of 5, Tisha immediately agreed to help. Audrey explained that she had to undergo a medical examination and spend the night in the hospital. At that moment, Tisha had no clue that soon her life would change. The next day, Audrey returned home completely heartbroken. She was clearly very upset, but didn't say anything. Tisha realized that something was wrong, and so she invited her neighbor to have a seat on her sofa and tell her what had happened. As it turned out later, that day would forever turn her whole world upside down. The doctors diagnosed Audrey with stage 2 stomach cancer, and they told the single mother that she didn't have much time left. This awful news changed the woman's world in an instant. Audrey knew that her days were numbered. However, what worried her most wasn't her own fate, but rather the future of her 3 children. Just a few days before Audrey passed away, she asked Tisha and her husband to become legal guardians for her kids. For Tisha, this request came like thunder on a clear day. Having grown up in an orphanage, Tisha knew like no one else what children went through after their mother's death. She even got a little attached to those 3 children. Moreover, her own kids had already made friends with Audrey's kids. So, even though the Butchmans could hardly be called well off, and their house could barely accommodate 7 people, Tisha agreed. She hugged Audrey and said that she needed to talk to her husband, because it was he who provided for the whole family. When the man heard what Audrey was asking them to do, he sat down and took a few seconds. After which he replied, "As long as I have the strength, I won't allow these children to end up in an orphanage. I will do everything I can to make them happy." Sadly, the terrible disease took Audrey away just a few days after this conversation, and the Butchmans did as they promised. They adopted all of her children. It had only been a month since the day they all met. Thus, 2 families became one. The new parents surrounded their adopted children with incredible kindness, care, and support. And their own children were willing to share their bedrooms, wardrobes, and bathrooms with their new sisters and brother. However, they all understood that the family didn't really feel comfortable living in such close quarters. Their house was too small for them to have any personal space. They had to sleep in the kitchen, in the hall, and even on the floor. However, despite it all, the house was filled with love and care. Tisha and her husband treated all the children equally, for they were now one big family. This could have been the end of the story, but one day there was a knock on Tisha's door. As it turned out, the local TV channel saw this family's story on social media, in addition to receiving numerous letters from their neighbors. So they decided to step in and surprise this huge family. The Butchmans had long dreamt of splitting the kids' bedroom into 2 small ones, as well as doing some work around the house and buying new furniture for the children. So, the TV channel volunteered to help them out. What Tisha and her husband did had a huge impact on the producers. So they decided to move the family to a hotel for a few days and started renovating their house in the meantime. Of course, putting up a wall in the kids' bedroom wasn't the only thing they planned on doing. The best designers and engineers planned out a completely new interior, in which there was a place for everyone. It took a little less than a month to renovate the house, and when the family got to see their home, they were left speechless. The Butchmans couldn't have imagined it, even in their wildest dreams. It was a very heartwarming moment. The kids cried with happiness and couldn't be more excited about their new bedrooms, and their parents admired the functional living room and the kitchen. In addition, all the furniture in the house was new, and the space was divided into several residential areas. You probably guessed that this still wasn't the end yet. What this couple did was admired by the community, so much that in addition to the house repairs, the TV channel also gave the family a 1-year certificate for free groceries. The parents could barely hold back their tears already, but something really unexpected happened next. The TV host took out a small box and handed it to the oldest, 18-year-old son. When the young man opened it, he couldn't believe his eyes. There was a check for a huge amount of money for him to buy his own home. But this still wasn't the end yet. The family was then asked to go outside and see what was waiting near their house. It was a big family car, which was now at their disposal. Tisha couldn't hold back her tears anymore. It was all too much. She said that they were very lucky and that they didn't do anything special, but everyone thought differently. When the Butchmans adopted 3 orphaned kids, they didn't even think about their personal benefit. It was their selflessness that won over the hearts of the people around them. All these gifts were purchased with the donations from ordinary townspeople, as well as some benefactors. After all, everyone, without exception, admired what they did. The huge family now lives in a brand new home and has everything they need. The parents plan to drive their new car to the ocean and have a little rest, because they still have a family of 10 to take care of, which means a lot of work ahead. The local community believes that what these people did can't be measured in money. They all wanted to help the new family, because this family truly did deserve this help.